Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Wrestling with Things. We wrestle with all sorts of things in sports and entertainment. And now, here are your hosts, David and Sammy Joseph.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of Wrestling with Things. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button to keep up with all our episodes and video content, and hit the bell so you could get the reminder for each and every one of our episodes. David Joseph here today, joined by Sammy Joseph as usual, and we are joined by a very special guest. She is an educator as well as a poet and a musician, and I'm really excited to be able to pick her brain here today. We are joined by Ashley Wonder. Ashley, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Doing well, same old stuff, quarantine, staying inside, going outside briefly,
Right.
So,
Likewise.
So let's get started. Just so whoever's tuning in that may not be too familiar with you, actually, would you mind giving a little summary and just a quick wrap up of who you are, what your passions are, and some of the stuff you're invested in?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Worcester. It's also where I still live for now. I started writing poetry as a little girl, like in my journals and stuff. They were not good. But then I got the confidence to try it out in some of the black churches out here in Worcester. So they kind of like gave me my start. And again, it was all just like test and go, like not good poems, going too fast, all that stuff. And then I actually found my voice in church, where that's where I kind of got all my practice to perform better, learn to slow down, and so people can actually understand what I'm saying. And then I started competing like on a competition level. That's slam poetry. I started doing that out in Boston first. And that's like a whole other thing. But it's very intense. It's like 14 poets compete, 3 rounds, time limits. It's a whole thing. And I started competing out in Worcester, and I got on our slam teams out here back in 2015 and 2016. So that was my first time getting to travel like outside of Worcester, going to California and Georgia, and just being overwhelmed by just the insane talent of like beautiful black people in all different shades, and just hearing their stories was just really, really impactful. And then like as I work for our city too. I work in the school system with special needs kids, going on 15 years now, and I'm tired. Like I love those kids, but 15 years, what is going on? You know what I mean? It's that's a whole other separate stories, but that also inspires my work. I write a lot about the kids that I work with, and also the difficult white people. They're frustrating, so they don't know that they be inspiring poems right while I'm with y'all, pissing me off, and I can't say nothing, but I'm writing in my notebook right now type stuff, So yeah, and I play saxophone too, and piano, but I can't bring a piano with me everywhere, so I started adding my sax to the live set list, so that's kind of how I end the shows that I do. I have a poem with my saxophone that's really cool. So yeah, that's a lot, but that's a little bit.
No, that's great. That's great. I feel like I got more of, I had an idea, but I feel like I got more of your backstory. And that's just very cool, because I didn't know it started in church for you. I was obviously at that point in time being raised in the church in general. I was always raised in the church and grew up in it. So it's easy connection for me to make there. I was that kid that couldn't sing but was forced into the choir. I don't know if you experienced that. I can't sing for shit, and I was in the choir. So yeah, just one of those black struggles some of us church kids have faced.
Our stories.
Yeah, but I want to move. I want to get a little bit more into your saxophone and instrument player. Do you play any other instruments other than the piano and saxophone?
Oh, that's it. You know what I mean? People think I'm like Prince. He knows 15, 18 instruments. Nah, okay? Like, I perfect the ones that I know. and I'm still learning new things on my alto sax. You know what I mean? I'm learning like new phrases and just new ways to play stuff, and even just to write my own stuff. That's new because the way I learned piano, like I gotta have the notes in front of me to play. But with saxophone, you're just kind of out there doing whatever you feel in your spirit. So like, I hope it sounds good. I don't know. So I kind of vibe off the energy of the crowd or whatever I'm feeling. Stuff like that.
Sam, you want to jump in with a question?
Yeah. What in your opinion? What was the church experience like? How, like, just like from your point of view, because everybody has kind of like their own unique church experience.
Right. That's a good question. No one ever asked me about the church stuff. It's always like, well, what happened to the poems after you started writing about Jesus? You know what I mean? It's like it was good. The church I grew up in was all like my family, you know what I mean? So it's all my cousins, all my aunties, you know what I mean? So it was cool to like just have all of that like around you outside of like holidays and like all that type of stuff. But once I left my church family, that's when I saw all the bullshit that comes with all the church gossip and all this insane.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't grow up with this. So what are we doing? I thought we were supposed to love God and love each other. You know what I mean? And it's just funny how like when you leave like your church home, you see the mess. I'm like, oh, this is the mess that you see about in movies and stuff like that. This is horrible.
Oh yeah.
Like horrible, you know? And I played my saxophone in church. I stopped singing in the choir and then I joined a band. I'm also in a gospel band, so I don't know how I have time to do half the stuff that I do, but it's cool playing in a gospel band. I've been with that band for almost 10 years, you know what I mean? So it's really cool to that's a whole nother like aspect when it comes to, I'm also a poet, but then it's like just church stuff, which is this. So it's really kind of cool to navigate all that stuff.
You guys do any like tours and road trips and with the gospel band and stuff?
We're trying, you know, we do a lot of community service for like elderly people and all through Massachusetts. Right before COVID happened, we had all these gigs lined up that now we can't do right now because like you just can't right now, you know what I mean? So we were like on our way there, but it's hard because it's gospel, you know what I mean? And a lot of people aren't receptive to that. I'm like, but even without just like all of that, the message is dope. It's a hopeful message. That's how I look at it now. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think church can also traumatize you sometimes as black people, you know what I mean? That's a whole other conversation, Jesus.
Trust me, we know. Trust me.
Yeah.
We would be here all day if we got into our stuff.
I would love to hear it. We'll have to get up sometime and like talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's so much to say. Now, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. I think the experience of black young people in that growing up in the church, there's so much to say because it's not what it seems on the outside all the time. And I think one of the key things that has really messed with us is that the church isn't very inviting to everybody. It's especially, you know, young people and people of all kinds of different backgrounds. It can feel a little judgy, and I feel like it affects us young people in a different way that the older generation doesn't want to take accountability for. But like we said, we don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole.
Get like coffee or drink somewhere. You know what I mean? Things are starting to open up, so let me know.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to switch gears to something else slightly. I know you were recently in the press for one of the protests, and you were very active with, you know, obviously the recent peaceful protests that have been happening all over the world. And, you know, it's such a heavy time for all of us black folk, and, you know, it's hard to keep that positivity, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of hope and positivity that we forced, you know, people to take heed and listen to. Can you talk about what your experience was like with these protests and what it felt like to be in that atmosphere and to be in the trenches and to represent black people around the world?
Yeah. The first one I went to, I was a little nervous just because the COVID crap and like everyone's got to wear a mask, all that nonsense. Yeah, that was like my main concern. I'm like, yo, so am I gonna die from this and not some police officer acting a fool? You know what I mean? Because
Wow.
shit, like that was that was in the back of my mind the whole time, and it was actually a work thing. Like even though I was going down there to perform a poem, it was actually a work related thing that I also do is for the union. So it's all people getting together talking about all this stuff, and it was great to kind of do both, be a poet and do my job at the same time, trying to get all the people of color from the city of Worcester together to talk about this stuff in the school system. Because I'm like, listen, I got 15 years of stories to tell y'all, 15 years of shit that y'all don't even know you're doing. You know what I mean? So that aspect was so dope to have. Like one of my principals came down and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, wow, so this is what I do outside of work. You know what I mean? Because half of them don't know that I'm a spoken word artist. So like they got to see a whole other side of like what I do. So that felt really great to have the whole city hall packed of like the city of just all these different people, young people, like everywhere. And then we got like rain on as we were marching the rain, we got drenched. I was like, oh my God. Like it was insane. I felt like God was pissed off with us. You know what I mean? Sending the rain and the thunder. Like, it was so hot that day, but then when the rain came down, we were just like, oh, I guess we're in it. And we was up halfway through Main Street. We were by Clark University. That's a long walk when everyone's walking and screaming. I was like, oh my God, it was so dope. Some of the speeches were a little too long, a little redundant. I'm like, y'all can't be saying the same stuff. Like, I understand, like, y'all already made your point the first speaker. Talk about something different. You know what I mean? That was low kind of frustrating, but like other than that experience was amazing. And then the other one that I did was for the Women's Solidarity March. That was dope because both of those marches were all youth, young people, you know what I mean, under 21 years old, setting all this stuff up. So I'm just like, wow, this is really cool that my city is finally like stepping up and people are stepping up with us, you know what I mean? It was really impactful to be a part of both events. I was so humbled.
That's really awesome. That's really cool to hear somebody. I think throughout all these peaceful protests, I haven't gotten a chance to talk to somebody that has actually been there and actually contributed. So it's very good to get that firsthand perspective straight from the horse's mouth. I also want to ask, you just touched on some of the protests, but I would like to open up the platform. I don't want to make this sound negative or make you sound like you go on one big sob story, but would you like to highlight, maybe some, tough experiences that you face as a Black woman that's also an educator? Would you, highlight some of those struggles for us?
Sure. Do you mean like in the job or just like as I live?
As a Black woman and as an educator, some of the things you may see, some of the things you may experience, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because like I'm also half white. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. I'm like my daddy was white. I mean, I love telling white people I'm white, just like y'all. I mean, they get so uncomfortable. Like you can't see it. Come on now. So like that in itself is a whole interesting thing, right? I see more of like what you asked in where I work. It's definitely, and I didn't realize it like growing up. You don't see that stuff growing up. You don't realize that stuff, but it's a lot of microaggressions. It's a lot of, did you really just say that to me? Really? Like as these people are teaching Black and brown kids, you can't just say and do the things that you're doing as a white educator. You just can't. Like, what are you doing? Like one time, like I work in special education. It's the most rewarding job, but also the most difficult that nobody wants to acknowledge. Mm-hmm. I don't get paid enough for what I do. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? I get beat up every day. I gotta wear arm pads. It's a whole thing. But just hearing just the stuff that they say, I'm like, if I said that, I would be getting written up. I'd probably be suspended. Like, how can you just make fun of a special needs student? Like, it's not their fault. They're the way they are. They're literally retarded. Like, they have a low IQ for the rest of their lives. They are forever dependent on some adult in their life. So how can you as an educator make fun of them? Like throughout the whole damn year. It's a long year. Like how can you do that on a daily basis? The sarcasm. They don't pick up on sarcasm, but I know what you're doing. You can't say shit like that. Are you kidding me? Like things like that. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so hurtful. And the kids don't know. It's not their fault. But I'm like, as a grown ass man, how the hell are you saying this? And you think you're making, an actual impact. Mm-hmm. Things like that. And even just teachers who teach in the general ed, it doesn't matter. You're teaching kids of color. It doesn't matter. You know, they just don't understand the privilege that they have. And like for Black History Month, the whole month of February, I'm rocking Fred Hampton shirts all month long. I'm doing the Malcolm X, everything. And one educator just didn't understand why I was wearing the shirts. I'm like, well, you know, it's February, right? Like I'm going 10 times harder on my blackness more than the other months. Okay, this is for y'all. Like it's not for me. And they don't understand it, and they just say remarks that you just can't be saying to Black people. One time some woman put her hands in my afro, like both of her hands in my hair. Like, excuse me, what the hell are you doing? Like,
did she even ask you for permission?
No, she just went up, was like, your hair is amazing. I need to touch it. It's fluffy. And I was like, excuse me, what the fuck? And that just happened. And she was way too excited. I'm like, I don't, what do you do with that? You're running to me full body. Your hands are open. Wait, like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And then we're on camera. So it's like, I can't be like, get the fuck off me. I can't like.
Yeah, you can't react.
You can't react. Then I'm the angry Black woman now. Okay. And I'm just standing here trying to get to my kid. Like, I'm not doing nothing but standing here.
Imagine if it was the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, my God. Like, one time it was the same woman tried it again where I literally did a kung fu move. I had to, like, block her damn hands. I'm like, I think you did this last year. You can't touch me if you forgot. I think you forgot. They can't touch. I shouldn't have to tell you, but you can't do this. It's unbelievable. So it's things like that, 365 through the whole school year, just over and over and over again. Why did the kids say the N-word, Ashley? I say it too, so I really can't, I can't help you. So don't ask me why they say that. Mm-hmm. They don't know why they say it, but I know why I say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel that.
Go read a book,
Shout out to you, because obviously you're totally strong and have resilience to be able to deal with that, as so many strong Black women have to deal with their own struggles, especially in the education field. But
there's not many of us either. There's not many. I can count on one hand the educators of color who are in the system. There's not many of us. Never mind to an actual building. Okay, like. It's so sad. I shake my head just like that all the time. Like, where we at, y'all?
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. I'm not surprised, because if you look at colleges across the board, not many Black educators. High school, not many Black educators. It's almost every single grade level if you really look at it, which is another shame and a whole nother story as well. It's just a shame.
Yep.
So during this time, obviously, with so much going on, do you find as a poet that you're finding more inspiration than ever during this time?
That's a great question, because people keep asking me that too. I never know how to answer. It's like you want to say, well, yeah, because we're all at home, but it's like, no, not really. Like it depends on the day, honestly. It depends how I'm feeling. And at the same time, it's like the people that inspire me, they're not around me right now. They're literally in Texas or they're in Boston. It's like, I'm just not going to be driving to Boston. Like, you know what I mean? I can't go to Texas right now. So it's like the people that really push me are not around me. So it's kind of hard on some days, poet-wise. It's really hard to find the inspiration to write stuff. So now I'm just YouTubing videos of the people that I miss and watching all of their old videos and trying to get stuff. I'm reading chapbooks that I bought from people. You know what I mean? That's helping a lot. But it's hard. I hate that it's hard, but it's hard right now. It's not as easy as people think.
No, I totally appreciate that answer because I feel like most people's instinct would be like, yeah, you know, I'm so inspired. Black people are protesting. I'm writing this and that. But I think you're a true creator if you could speak to the struggles of, you know, coming up with inspiration because it's not always easy. It's not just pushing a button or snapping a finger. So I totally appreciate that transparency and that perspective that it's not always, you know, simple 1, 2, 3 to come up with a concept or a poem. Sam, you want to jump in here?
Yeah. Do you think it's harder because, you know, everything is kind of like closed down and people can't really like go where they want to and experience what they want to? Because experience right now, like there's not a whole bunch of like fun things and great things that you can keep in your memory bank.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. It's like where we find the inspiration at is at open mics. Is that going to our
experiences,
our artist friends who are hip hop artists? It's like that's where I get all my inspiration from. So the fact that we can't even gather, even with the online stuff, I've gone to some online stuff, but it's like, yo, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
like I can't hear the finger snaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're not feeding off people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, yo. Even with people trying to do it the best they can, it's like, yo, I just had an online feature like a few weeks ago. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? I'm in my car so like I can't bring my sax out. It's raining. It's thunder. Like it's not the same, yo. It's not. It's hard. It's real hard. At least for me, it is. I don't know what other people are doing. I think other people are just hella creating shit. I'm like, how? Because I'm not meeting up with nobody, and I want to, but you can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a good experience.
Exactly. So even the poems that I'm kind of writing that are new, I'm kind of happy about them. I'm trying to memorize them, but at the same time, it's like it takes so long to memorize a poem, and it's like I'm not even like hyped to memorize it. I'm happy I wrote the piece, but I'm like, do I want to put in a whole nother day's work to memorize this one poem for what? You know what I mean? So I'm not meeting up with people. It's not being recorded. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard.
What would you say? Poetry kind of, you know, goes hand in hand with music to me. Who are some of the artists that you're listening to a lot these days?
Oh, that's a nice question. I feel like I'm so old, right? Like I'm not old, but I'm just like I don't know nothing that's coming. So like I'm still stuck in like 2000 rock era. You know what I mean? I'm a rock head by nature, so it's like I love hip hop stuff. So I'm listening to Lecrae. He's one of my favorite hip hop artists. Like Andy Mineo, that type of stuff, just to get like poetry type flow vibes or whatever, just to get the flow stuff. I'll listen to them because I love their flow on things. I listen to a lot of jazz instrumentals just to get inspiration for saxophone stuff or piano. But right now I'm stuck in like the 50s, 60s music rock era because I miss my dad, you know what I mean? So it's like literally drawing inspiration from things that I grew up with to help me write whatever the hell is going to come in the next whenever, you know?
Gotcha. Would you say that rock is your favorite genre in general?
That depends on my mood. Like anytime I gotta get motivated, it's rock music. If I'm going out shopping, it's rock music in my headphones. You know what I mean? But if I'm just driving on the highway to get some air for the day, it's nice out. It's hip hop. It's literally the Backstreet Boys. Like I literally have no shame for my Backstreet Boys love. You know what I mean? Like nostalgic music, like that gets me through. You know what I mean? It's Backstreet Boys are on repeat. You know what I mean? It's literally like things like that. But I'm definitely a rock head by nature, like Linkin Park type stuff or like Lifehouse. Nothing too heavy, but it's all about the message in the music, you know?
Yeah, I'm big on that too. If something don't have that message or hit me internally, I can't really bump it over and over again. I gotta be able to relate to it. It's the storytelling.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I could say like a new artist, who was I listening to? Damn.
Is it a male or female?
It's a female artist. I can't think of it. Soul something, SOL. she's a real soulful artist. She's amazing. She got some song named Butterfly. I don't know who she is, but she is incredible. Her whole vibe is just like, yo, makes me wish I wasn't single type stuff. You know what I mean? Those type of vibes.
Yeah, that's always a dope vibe. A lost art, in my opinion, too. Sam, you got anything to add in here?
Yeah, in terms of rap, who would you say is your top favorites besides Lecrae? You know?
Okay. Like I'm not a huge hip hop like where I know who you know what I mean. So like I don't like people always say Jay-Z or whatever, but like I like Tupac. You know what I mean? Tupac, Biggie. Like I'll always go to them as go-to people. Who else do I like? I was liking T.I. for a while, but like his stuff with his daughter, I'm just like, okay, dude, I think you're off my list. You know what I mean? So that's kind of off my list right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just kind of stick with a lot of. It depends on the mood. You know what I mean? But I listen to a lot of Christian artists. Like even though Lecrae don't say that's his identity, that's what you're rapping about anyway. You know what I mean? So whoever has a good, positive message that's gonna uplift me and make me feel good, that's what I'm listening to.
Okay, all right. Gotcha on that. And I for a side note, I think that, you know, people, you mentioned it briefly when you mentioned the gospel tours. I think people automatically tell themselves gospel music or gospel rap may not like be something you could listen to, but if people really sat back and gave it a chance, you don't have to be a churchgoer to appreciate a gospel song. You know, I just wish more people would feel that way and be open-minded, because I'm a big gospel. I think it's therapeutic for me sometimes. I listen to gospel when I get the chance, and I think if you could pick 1 or 2 songs that you could always go to, people would be surprised how therapeutic and cool it is to listen to gospel.
Exactly, and the best part is about what like there's levels to it, because like if I'm on my trap hip hop, like trap gospel is Fizzle. He's from St. Louis. He used to be big like Biggie. You know what I mean? He grew up in the hood. Like his whole testimony is insane. So when I need like that trap beat stuff, that's what I listen to. You know what I mean? There's literally different levels of hip hop and genres where it doesn't matter like what they're. I mean, it matters what they're talking about, but I don't know who the worthy people are because I don't know trap music like that. But I want to listen to what it is that's in a gospel sense that has the same type of beat and same flow. Just again, positive message that's gonna make you feel something than not feeling whatever they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. If you had at least 3 artists from any genre that you could either perform with or have a conversation with, who would you pick?
Like dead or alive?
Yeah, dead or alive.
Oh man, no one's ever asked me this question. I appreciate this. Oh man, I would say Chester Bennington from Linkin Park.
Oh wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. You kept me on my toes with that one.
I miss him, man. I miss him as much as I miss my daddy. Okay, like I miss him.
That's dope.
Whitney Houston. Like prime Whitney Houston, like 1980s Whitney Houston. And let's see. And I'd say Prince.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Nice, diverse, you know, unexpected, unique group. All
that's
talented.
That's a great group.
Yeah, right?
Cool.
Yeah. All different, all different things, you know what I mean?
That's dope. I'm definitely gonna remember that one. I just want to touch also on. We did talk about some of the you know, police brutality and the racism. What are some things that you think can be done? You know, obviously we'll never, unfortunately, eliminate racism, but what are some things in the short term that you think could be done, you know, to limit racism and to at least, you know, kill it down and dumb it down?
That's an interesting question. I feel like that's a layered question. Like, I don't know who has the answers. Like, I know I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I know that everything starts with a conversation. You know what I mean? Like to come with an actual plan or a way to not make it so freaking heavy the way it is, the way it's been. You have to have a conversation about these things. It has to get uncomfortable, and it all comes down to the powers. You know what I mean? It all comes down to the people that have the money to make the change, and we have to vote for the right people. I don't know who the hell those people are. You know what I mean? I keep seeing like celebrities running for shit. I'm like, what? I love you guys as actors. Why are y'all running the office? Like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like the world is coming to a whole end. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, you guys are not politically anything to be running for shit as something as making laws. Like, what is going on? Like, that's my biggest issue. Like, everything has to have a conversation, and people have to be willing to be open to have it. And then you can start making the changes. It's such a long process, but if you don't start it, then like it's always going to be what it is, the bullshit. And then it's going to be at our expense, where we're just trying to live and make it through the day and make it home, just like anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's the scariest part, because it's like, thankfully, you know, when you see these things, it's like, obviously you're grateful that in some ways you feel bad. You definitely feel bad, but in some ways you're grateful it's not you. But the reality is, in their eyes, it could be any one of us, because we're black and they look at us all the same. That's why it's so scary, because like you said, we're all just kind of go through our day, hustle, do our thing, and get back home. But the fact that it's so easy to take these lives, and it could be our brothers, our sisters, our moms, our aunts. It's just really scary. And I think these conversations, we just need to remain, you know, obviously remain aggressive and don't lose sight and stay focused on having these important conversations. But with that, I want to piggyback and ask, do you think there needs to be more day-to-day normalized unity amongst black people?
Oh, hell yes. Yes. 100%. I had these conversations a lot with like female friends of mine and like my brothers, you know what I mean? And like, I know they get it, but like my best friend's always talking about, well, there's not enough black men standing up for us. I'm like, you could be right, but you're not out here like I am, okay? Because when I was at that protest, there was black men that were here for us. So what men are you talking about? Where the hell are they? Because I don't know where they at. You know what I mean? Like, I think that starts with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the numbers are, but I always see on my Facebook feed how there's not enough black men sitting up for us or defending us. I'm like, well, my family is, okay? Like, my friends are, my artist friends are doing the work, and they're from all different types of backgrounds and sexuality. So who are you talking about? You know what I mean? Who the hell are you talking about? You guys seem like you guys are on the right side of shit, so who are you talking about? Like, what black men who aren't doing the work? They're probably toxic as fuck and don't need to be doing shit. They need to heal first.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Damn.
No, I love that you said that. Oh my God. Because I feel like right now, I asked that particularly because I feel like right now there's a section of people that, of course, you know, do the work and contribute, and they naturally go around with a loving heart to their black brothers and sisters. But every day there's a whole nother large group of people, like you pointed out, black men aren't protecting us. Black men talk shit about us. That's crazy, because I know a lot of black men that love black women, that just love to be around them, that love to have conversations with them. And even beyond that, I see a lot of people that before things get heavy, you know, they wear their blackness on their sleeve and they're very pro-black. I think social media makes it so people could pick apart men, or people could pick apart women, because men are doing that too to some level. But people just spew the negativity, and it's like, that may be your world, but that's not the reality. That's the people you're spending time with. And I think
change your circle.
And these days nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to
Right.
hear change your circle. They just want to justify their complaints all day, and it's very exhausting.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you said that. Like, yes, these are. I need to be around y'all a lot more. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're like-minded. Trust me. We're the door's always open to have these type of conversations because I just feel like the one end of it is obviously there's so many white people that are failing to empathize and educate themselves. But I really do. I hate to say it. I don't want to sound like that guy. And obviously, none of us are perfect. But I think as black people, you do the work when you support your black brothers and sisters, not for clout, but you naturally support. You do the work when you check up on that black friend for no reason, and you just genuinely want to know how they're doing, how their mental health is doing. I think everybody thinks doing the work is only by protesting. I think you do the work by helping to move forward things and showing the compassion that needs to be poured into the world. And I just think people are overlooking that because those aren't things you could always post to a timeline.
Don't put each other down.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
There's
Like,
so many people posting Black
look.
Lives Matters, but they're the one beefing with other black people on Facebook all day.
Yeah.
It's like that makes you just as bad,
Right,
I'm not gonna say
toxic.
I'm not gonna say you're equal to a racist white person, but that just makes you as bad in my view, because I think we should all be in the mindset like I see a black person, if they maybe need help with their bags, be willing to help them just cause. Don't expect nothing in return. Like, start being nice to each other for no reason. I think
Just
it's
be a
big
decent
thing.
human fucking being. That's it.
People always need reasons for things, and people always have an agenda, and it's just crazy, man.
Right, and usually it's
I want to get rid of that.
Hidden shit. Right, it's a hidden agenda that's not usually a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So do you have anything that, thank you so much for joining us. I want to be mindful and respectful of your time. I'd love to do this again at another time. Do you have anything that you want to, plug in closing, maybe any social media handles to let people know where to find you and your work?
Pleasure meeting you too.
Yeah, so you can add me on social media too, Sam. Ashley Wonder on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, I'm still working on that project, David, I was telling you about before, the grief project. So it's kind of like on hold just because the fucking pandemic shit. But at some point, that will be getting released into the world, and that's a future goal that I'm looking forward to. But again, currently, I'm doing a lot of union work, so we're doing open mics for that this week, and then we have another big one coming up in August for the Massachusetts Teacher Association in Boston. That's going to be streamed live for 300 plus people. So I'm so freaking excited. So that's the short term stuff that I'm preparing for now.
That's cool. So what you plugged your Instagram? Are you in Facebook? Are you on anything else?
I mean, I'm on Snapchat too, but Instagram and Facebook are the main things for poetry and stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Ashley Wonder on Facebook and Instagram?
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all heard that. Add her on Facebook, follow her on Instagram. She will be having her work coming out soon. Thank you so much for joining us again, Ashley. Spread the word about us. We're looking to get more women perspectives here on Wrestling with Things. So we want talented women to come on here and chop it up with us.
Absolutely.
Word. I'll send out the word out for sure.
Thank you so much. And
I can't wait to do this again. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Please. This was a pleasure. And I feel like there's so much we didn't talk about that we will talk about.
Yes.
But thank you so much again, and have a good night. And guys, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all our episodes.